Hello and welcome to a bonus episode of Sports and Songs podcast. It's Dan and Andy. We got a bonus episode show here tonight. It's called the 2024 WNBA Draft Preview Show.
Yes.
And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. I'll bring up the logo. With all this interest in WNBA and college basketball, all the phenoms coming out, all these big stars, the big names, the draft is already next week. So we're going to do a draft preview because it's coming up. And Andy, tell us more about it. So there's 12 teams, right?
Yeah, it's 12 teams, 3 rounds. Though they don't really hurry through them. They still take their time. It's a couple 3-hour bit. It is very highly sponsored by State Farm Insurance. So Jake from State Farm will be there. I think they should have Ryan and PJ out there myself, the Hand Gardner boys.
Wow.
But that's
like it.
That's me. Shameless plug. But they make a big deal out of it, and it's nice to see. Like I said, they just got done, so all these girls have just seen each other. It's kind of like, the graduation party after graduation. Now you can really be nice to everybody. You've been everybody's enemy now for the last month because of the tournament, And a lot of these girls are going to be there. Not all will make it. Not all 36 picks will be there. And unlike the NBA draft, there'll be a couple foreigners, a Swedish girl or an Australian player who we like. Who's that? NBA draft seems to have more of those, but there'll probably be a couple thrown in here for the gals, which is part of the deal. You got to remember they have this draft, and they go to camp like in a month. So I like the rollover for it. Helps their game be popular. A little bit on the WNBA this year. The Las Vegas Aces, coached by one of my girlfriends, Becky Hammond, back-to-back champions. They sold out their season tickets this year right away because they're back-to-back champions. So that's going to sell out. When their lottery came out for the WNBA and they found out that Indiana Fever was getting the number 1 pick, their tickets sold out because of Caitlin Clark. All the expectations should go there. We haven't had the draft yet. Ticket prices, people are already marking their dates when their team was supposed to play Indiana and going. The Las Vegas Aces in their arena hold 12,000 people. They saw they were supposed to play Indiana. They moved it to where the pro team plays that holds 20,000 people. So they've already made an advance on that. I think all but one of their games was the network game of the week for Indiana. It's going to be them or the Las Vegas Aces you're going to see on TV all the time. A lot of pressure on Miss Clark for all this. As you've been watching the show, Caitlin Clark fans, love her. I don't think she's going to put up the points she has. A lot of the pros in the WNBA are already talking smack about her after the championship going, you're not going to be able to put up that stuff here in the pros. And I think Caitlin knows that. She's a student of the game. She's not an idiot. She's not going to put up 34 points, 12 assists, and 8 rebounds. She may put up 8 points, 24 assists, and 8 rebounds. I still think she'll have the assist numbers, if not higher than college, because she's got such a good vision for the court. Everyone's going to think she might be taking the long shots or this or that. I don't think she'll do that in the pro game as much. She won't fire up the big threes as often. I do see her getting a lot of assist numbers, though. You watch that last game from the championships, they defended her pretty good. So, yes, it's college, but I'm pretty sure that tape went out. But so with that said, lots of pressure on Miss Caitlin there. Everyone and their brother have her as the number 1 pick. I don't know why she wouldn't be. So just to watch the draft, I'm sure they're going to get a whole bunch of their commercials and speaks and everything plugs in for everybody else before they announce her as a pick. But let's go through some of the other picks for it. Now, I've got a few different boards here I've looked at, and they're all kind of basically the same. They got Caitlin at number 1. I think that's pretty, we agree on that. Cameron Brink, number 2 to the Clippers from Stanford. Power forward centered. I think we're all going to agree on that. I mean, the Eliza Jackson from Tennessee going third, pretty slam dunk. Here's what gets a little tricky now. Cortisol from where was she from? South Carolina, the center. So there, Carolina's got Carolina's got a girl going there, and Edwards from UConn. The top 5 picks are top 5. That's pretty good. One from each team. Sometimes you've seen with the gals game, but 2 or 3 players from the same team going the first 6 picks because that team was so dominant. We got 5 picks, 5 teams. Georgia Moore from VTech, number 6. So there, we're getting a nice spread. It's not just a few couple teams. Now, here's where the change comes. Like I said, Georgia Moore from Virginia Tech at number 6 on one board. Another board has J.C. Sheldon from Ohio State going 6. Both are point guards. I've seen those two flip between 6 and 8. So we'll see how that all turns out. Number 6 pick, excuse me. Yeah, Georgia. And then they're both, get their numbers. Sheldon's a little taller, but they're both guards. Their other numbers are pretty similar. One's got more points, one's got more rebounds, so it all balances out. Locally here, a lot of these boards have Angel Reese from LSU going number 7 to the Lynx. My point on that, if you heard the show last week with Craig Confiliano, we talked about it a little bit. I like Angel Reese's game. I don't like her character. I like her personality. She tries to play the villain card. If some people dig that, some don't. I'll watch her for her game. I'll watch her for what she's doing on the court with the ball. That's great to watch. I don't want to watch her interviews. I don't want to see her social media. I could care less about that part of her stuff. Her coming to Minnesota. A few years ago, we used to be kind of the Lynx were in the finals for a while there. We were kind of the cat's meow would come to. But we're still just Minnesota. We're not the Las Vegas Aces, who are back-to-back champions. We're not Indiana, who's going to get Caitlin Clark. So there's all your TV games right there. I think Angel Reese coming to someplace like Minnesota where it's just Minnesota, good old blue-collar Minnesota. She can fly under the radar a little bit, get her personality in check, and be nice, and can do commercials again. And people go, oh, there's that snob from LSU. So maybe this 1 year coming here kind of goes under the radar. I don't want to say change your personality. Be who you're going to be. Kind of drop the villain part of it. And maybe you can make some money doing that.
Now, when we had Craig from Philly on, his comment was good when he says that, do you want to draft her because she could be a giant headache?
Yep, she could be a lot of cancer.
And I thought that was fair to say, negative or positive. It could be a headache, just all these surroundings. But if it's a good fit, it could be a good fit. Do you think some teams will steer away and say, you know what, we'll take someone else as a safe pick because she's such an unknown? Yes, she's good.
Right.
And, so it's going to be an interesting following at the way this all falls out, I think.
Right. And, like I said, she can come here, kind of fly under that radar. But, and then the rest of the picks all just kind of fall in there. They're all kind of bounce around the same few players. I think her coming here to the Lynx will be a nice fit. Can have a young team because we had our championships, we had our runs. With Simone Augustus going in the Hall of Fame, and we've had some other good players here. They're still tight with the team. Maybe a couple of them hung around and took little Miss Angel Reese under their wing and said, honey, sit down, we need to talk. This is how you do it. I think she will listen. And because she found out that it's no good being bad. So I don't think she wants to be the media darling either, though. But these two will help her right the wrongs, if you will, of her ways. The draft itself, as you watch it, I'll tell you right now that after the first round, it gets kind of like the NFL draft, it gets pretty boring afterwards. Even if you're really deep into it. Kind of like with the NFL draft, because I noticed last year when we were watching it to see when Monica would get drafted. Also, they'll run a thing at the bottom. Oh, number 20 pick, so-and-so took so-and-so. If you're not in that first round, they're busy talking to other people, and you just got to read the numbers underneath. I found that interesting, though, because as someone who wants to learn more about the league, I got to learn some of the other people. Heads, goods, and bads. But the WNBA draft, or the W as you'll hear it referred to a lot, it's a major sport. The women's championship games here drew more than the men's by like 4 million people. 18 and 14 million, I think, were the numbers. And we were kind of laughing before, like, why are you sticking the women on at 2 p.m? That's going to kill their ratings. Can you imagine what they would have done in prime time? Did it 18 million at 2 p.m? And then one guy, now the excuses come out. They've done this time slot for years and everybody loved it. But now in the middle, they did 14 million. I heard someone go, well, if you didn't have the game start at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night, it'd do better. Yet that's what the media and the advertisers always wanted. But now the women drew more. Now it's a problem.
Yep. Now it's a conversation. Now they have to address it now because now it's the elephant in the room. What do you do? And
do you move it up an hour next year? Do you have it be at 7 o'clock on a Monday night instead of 8 or 9? You get right into it. The Olympics this year too affected WNBA a little bit.
Yes,
so we'll see how it goes. Caitlin's going to be on Team USA. How all that works, I believe they take a break from their league for it, but that's still. Everybody's going, oh, well, poor Caitlin comes out of college and now in the pros and Olympics, she'll get no rest. These girls in WNBA during the college tournament were playing over in Europe and Russia in their leagues. They weren't sitting around having Doritos and Diet Mountain Dew like I was watching it. They were working at their game also, playing. Not all of them, most of them. Superstars, probably not so much. But so they're all going to be just as tired coming back. They're not all sitting there with fresh legs, fresh bodies to beat up on the college kids. No. Maybe at practice, just to dog them and haze them, because that's what you do in life, in the real world. But it should be a very exciting draft. I like it because, again, you see the other people. And you get a new respect for the gals, too. Yes, I love watching women's basketball. I love the sport. They're better athletes, and they're not, like we've said before, they're not playing the game to make the fancy move to be on SportsCenter. They're playing the game to win. And here's the stereotypical rap that comes up. Okay, you look at the NFL draft or the NBA draft. You look at these horrible suits these guys come up in. What were you thinking? Did you lose your fantasy football league and had to dress like a moron on TV? What is this? These girls don't do that. This is their red carpet affair. So if you're into the fashion part of it, this is your night. But it's nice to see them out of uniform. Again, I think I've said about women's athletes. They're hard to recognize in the street because they don't have their hair pulled back and a sweat shirt on. When they're dressed up nice and their hair's down, you're like, who's that? Who's that? Or you don't realize how tall they really are until you see them stand next to Holly Rowe, who's like 4'9". I love Holly. She's a great talker. She's a great interview, but you give the short little gal the NBA, WNBA beat. That's, But she's very knowledgeable in the game. They all have a good time. It is fun to watch, fun to learn more about the game with it. You can find all these draft charts. Just put WNBA mock draft in there. You'll find more than you want to know. Follow them, look at the teams, see who's who. I said I went to the first so many picks before I found two from the same college going. Virginia Tech is the first one that has two people going in the first 12 picks that I'm finding. And one thing you notice, so I went through all those names. Andy, what's the deal? You never mentioned Paige Beckers. Paige stayed for another year in the NCAA women's game. you cannot come out early. You got to go the 4 years. Well, but because of COVID and because of Paige's injury last year, she was granted another year. So she took that. If I got to do 12 picks before I find 2 from the same team, this was Paige. The picks I saw that were coming out like the pre-draft picks, like in November, December, before Paige said she was staying. A lot of them had her going number 2. Paige isn't staying in for another year to be the number 1 pick. I don't think so. It's a love of the game, love of the area. She feels she's got more to do for college. And she said this before the finals. So if they would have won it this year, she was still going back. But I think she feels like she's got more to do in college. Now you can say, oh, her number, she's going to beat her with 5 years in. Okay, on the calendar, it's 5 years. She missed all but 3 games last year. So Paige is going to be fun to watch. Is all the spotlight going to be on her like Caitlin, though, this year? I don't know. Is that her torch to carry to keep the ratings up? That's going to be the fun one to watch. When I heard Paige's interview after the game, she's got all the class to do that. If the media wants to throw the torch to her and say, okay, run from what Caitlin did, Paige can do that. She doesn't want to. She's not asking for the job. But if they give it to her, she'll do it. So there's my thing. Number 1 pick next year will be Paige Beckers going to the Minnesota Lynx. Local girl comes home. That would be kind of neat. But that's what I got, Dan. That is my WNBA Draft 24, sponsored by State Farm, draft preview. I think Oswald unplugged something on Dan. We'll see if he comes back here in a little bit. But yeah, the draft, WNBA draft, this is your time. Get your pen and paper out. Write down names. Learn who's who, where, and why. And it should be it's a fun way to learn the game and to follow it. I had a great time. I really appreciated the league a lot more this year after watching the draft harder last year. Watching it the whole way through, seeing all these names, watching them come up. Great way to learn the game. So I highly suggest that's what you do. Hope you enjoy it.
Yes, and I think the only thing that I would add would be the only thing that I would add is, what are your thoughts on Indiana? Number 1 pick, and they go in reverse. So once again, they were the worst team, right? So they get the number 1.
They did have a draft lottery. They were one of the worst teams.
Okay.
It was a draft lottery.
Now, I don't think anyone's saying, we're hearing this out there that Caitlin Clark's number 1 pick, number 1 overall pick, she's going to go on and score all these points and be huge in the WNBA. I don't think, number 1, she's ever said that. Caitlin's never said, I'm going to be all world. But Indiana is not that good. Caitlin will help the team, and that's the purpose of the number 1 pick, to getting that pick. That she will definitely help the team, put fans in the seats and whatnot, and there'll be a better team by having her. Are they going to go to the finals? That's a stretch. Is she going to be an immediate starter? That's a stretch. All those things are coming into play, but I'm glad Indiana has the number 1 pick because, of course, the team will get better by.
Indiana did have a nice pick last year, a nice high pick last year. I think they'll make the playoffs. A little technical difficulties at the production end there. But yeah, Indiana, they did get the draft lottery. They got the number 1 pick. They weren't per se the worst team. They had a nice draft pick though last year. I think with Caitlin being an addition to it, I could see Indiana making the playoffs. Will they make a run for it? No. They're still young. There's still other good veteran teams out there. Like I said, the Aces, back-to-back champions. They're going to be the team to beat. They're Las Vegas, Indiana. Is that going to be the new rivalry for a while? I don't know. will be the Timberwolves in Indiana because of Angel Reese. If she comes to the Timberwolves, will that be the rivalry? Maybe that'd be kind of cool. We can get in a rivalry with Indiana. That'd be kind of fun. Because geographically, they're one of the closest teams for us after Chicago Sky's in the middle there. But that'd be kind of fun if Angel Reese comes here and Caitlin there. We kind of become a rivalry. That'd be kind of neat. That'd be exciting. But we'll see. They don't have a lot of real big rivalries like that yet. I think some of these college girls coming in could start some. I mean, Lakers Celtics because of Bird and Magic, that happened. And to this day, there's still kind of a rivalry. So maybe Caitlin can start something. I don't want to say start a rivalry, but because of her popularity, because of Angel Reese's popularity, or some of these other girls' popularity. Maybe when Paige enters the league next year, those two facing off against each other. We'll see how that goes. It would be neat to see stuff like that helped. It helped the Lynx and get more fans in here if we had a rivalry like that with a big name team like Indiana. They'd be fun to watch too. But I think it's gonna be a lot of good-hearted rivalry. It's not gonna be the boo boo you beat Indiana, it'll be stuff like that, but it's not gonna be the hatred like Viking Packer hatred. It's gonna be just rivalry, fun rivalry. Are you back, sir?
Hello.
Did Oswald knock over things again? Kick things out?
All right, I'm back.
We have just been talking about how maybe if Angel Reese comes here and with Caitlin in Indiana, if that'd start a rivalry between the two teams.
Yes.
For getting things in. So we'll see
you
how that goes.
Know what it's going to do. This whole thing is going to be very interesting, I think.
You look at Magic and Larry came in the league for the NBA, how it started a rivalry between those two teams. So we'll see what it can do. I did say, have you heard Indiana, I think, will make the playoffs. They had a nice pick last year also. Will they win it? No. There's a lot of good veteran teams there already. But I do think Indiana can make the playoffs. Very excited to see what comes up this year in the league, in the W, as we call it.
Awesome. Well, that's good information. And I think leave your comments below if you have anything else that we missed. But hopefully we'll do this every year going forward.
Yeah, we'll do a preview. Not going to do a post review. I'm not going to come back next week and go, see, I told you. No, we're just going to do the preview. But when the season starts, we'll follow even more. We've always kind of done a little WNBA throughout the season. Some of the feedback we've getting, I think we'll do more and more of it coming up.
Awesome. Good luck, ladies. It should be fun to watch. Monday night's the draft at 7 p.m., I believe, Central Time.
Yep. On ESPN, the main ESPN, I think. Yep.
All right. Sounds good. It should be fun to watch.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.